Welcome in to Train Thoughts. This is Steen Queen here. I'm your host, and I'm coming to you during a raw, live situation that I feel I just overcame. And I was able to combat my feelings of irritation, which I couldn't figure out where they were coming from. But once I separated myself and I isolated myself for a few moments to sit in my own thoughts and to sit in my own behaviors, I wanted to dissect what was going on with me, because I didn't like how I had just had such a wonderful day, and then after helping my children with their homework, my entire vibe and energy had shifted into a mood that I didn't appreciate in myself. I felt irritated and I felt annoyed, and it wasn't at them. Obviously they hadn't done anything wrong. And as I was feeling those emotions, I also added to them by increasing the annoyance and irritation, because I was getting angry at myself for being irritated and annoyed. So that was the whole thing, right? So I'm like, wait a minute. Let me just go sit somewhere, sit down, okay? I came in my garage and I began to meditate. And I meditated. It was a guided meditation for anxiety and depression, and for clearing energies with low vibrational frequencies that try to attach themselves to your mind and your thoughts and your interpretations and all that other stuff. So this meditation led me to, afterwards, praying and talking to my Father, God, my Creator. And afterwards, I just feel so much better, y'all. And I came on here so inspired, and I just wanted to share that and lead with that, because I want you guys to know that as I'm making this podcast, I'm living this podcast. I hope that makes sense. I'm sharing my life and the way that I am healing myself and making myself vulnerable to you in hopes to lead you or encourage you to do the same for yourself. Because I just don't want any of us to be stuck. I want us to grow. I want us to love and be loved. I feel like love is it's like my favorite emotion. So I wanted to come on here today and talk about how you cannot cheat your way into a spiritual progression or personal growth. You have to do the work. If you understand the assignment the first time, then go ahead and start working on yourself. Pick up a new hobby, read a new book on self-development maybe, and enroll in a gym or a school to further your education. Anything like that. Go ahead and get started. If you feel stuck where you are, you feel that your current environment is not fulfilling you, then you have the responsibility to make changes. Nothing will change if you sit around complaining about it, or even worse, victimizing yourself. I have a history or an awareness of doing that. Let me say not, I don't want to say a history because I don't believe I've done that, but I have been made aware to myself that there have been certain situations that I have victimized myself where I didn't need to do so, if that makes any sense. So you can start working on finding a new path. And if you can't find it, then I challenge you to create one. Find something that you're really passionate about, or maybe even just good at, or maybe even that you just want to learn. Perhaps you can try doing things that you used to enjoy when you were a child and see if that's something that you would love to do again. If you want help or guidance, you can ask your angels, your higher power, or for some, your inner strength to assist you. Personally, like I said earlier, I pray. Every day I talk to God, the Creator, my all that is, as some other people may say, because through reading the Bible, I know that as my Father, He wants us to come to Him anyway, with any and everything. Why be in a place that He created and struggle when we could just ask for His help, right? Humbling ourselves just a bit, make it a little bit easy, because there's a whole guide, right? These are my thoughts. This is the way that I work in my world, and it works for me. So make sure that as you grow internally, that you aren't focusing too much on the negative aspects, your cognitive distortions and interpretations, while ignoring your real problems, which are the facts. What are the root causes of my behaviors? Why do I think the way that I do? I'm pretty sure that is such a common question, right? How can I problem solve in a more effective and efficient way? The reason for observing your cognitive distortions, or your interpretations, what you're telling yourself, or your advertisements even, is to grow the ability to dissolve the human ego. Is it possible that instead of taking action to solve your issues, that you're trying to justify your inaction by expressing yourself negatively? If you have time to comment or complain about something or someone, if you have time to overthink, then surely you have plenty of time to work on it, right? I mean, just stating some visual aspects out there. Like, let's give an example. I love examples. So, okay, let's say you may want to get into a relationship, and that relationship may eventually trigger your abandonment issues, trust issues, etc. Those triggers can serve as a heads up. It's not necessarily the fact. It doesn't mean that you're in a relationship full of abandonment and mistrust, but because they are triggers, what you're telling yourself comes out in the way you treat the person you are with. So in order for us to heal and grow spiritually or personally, we need to put that work in, y'all. It means to start doing the inner work. Have that open talk with your partner. Let them know why you have doubts or insecurities in your relationship, so that there's an open line of communication, and this line of communication and understanding between both partners, which will hopefully cause an internal awareness for the behaviors enough to shift into a more safe and trustworthy space or site. However, if you doubt that you're mistaken and you have proof of a break in loyalty, then perhaps that work for you may look like taking some time off to yourself, isolating yourself to test it out. Maybe separate yourself from your partner with a time frame in mind, setting boundaries, of course, so that you can gather your thoughts and come to a conclusion, a healthy conclusion. And in this inclusion of your future relationship, this will help make that relationship healthier without all the pressure of caving in to the other person. Communication is such an important thing in society, and it's one thing I feel is happening less and less and less between people. And that's kind of scary to me, and it's sad at the same time. But it's ultimately your choice to do what you want to do. But keep in mind that one day, when that situation comes to an end, it may have done more damage to your journey than if you were to have left it in the first place. Maybe it's not the same for everyone. You really have to observe and consider everything. It's very important. It's vital, because you don't want to make irrational decisions and choices, and you definitely don't want to make decisions while you are in your emotions and they are just firing off. It's not the wisest choice. It's also important to remind ourselves that we can't stay in the past just because it's familiar for us, even though we know it's toxic. So I'm asking you to join me in letting go of bad habits or manners, maybe ways of thinking that are no longer serving a purpose. Let's renew our minds and tweak our behaviors. At least a bit, we got to start somewhere. You can create the love that you want, but you have to be open to give and accept love. Accepting love, I learned what that looked like through a friend of mine. Her name is Coco. that I'm hoping one day will be on this podcast with me, because we have the most exhilarating conversations that I would love for you guys to be a part of. I think there are so many different aspects to learn from both perspectives, and they're both in a very spiritual manner, and it's just amazing. So anyways, back to creating your own love. Okay, so excuse me, maybe you're holding on to issues from the past, or you have doubts about your relationship. Whatever it is, it looks like an inner problem that you're facing rather than a relationship problem. Wait a minute. Let me repeat that. If we keep holding on to issues from the past, or if you have doubts about your relationship, there is an internal issue that you are facing rather than a relationship problem. And that is why it is our responsibility to make ourselves clear and transparent to our partners. And hopefully in return, receive the latter. You know, it's vice versa. Two to tango, blah, blah, blah. Yin and yang, you know. You should express your feelings to your partner and find a way to work through it together. But you have to work through it individually first. Because if you don't work through it individually first, it's going to be a whole lot harder to try and work it out together. Irrational feelings will cause you to be unhappy in a perfectly healthy relationship. So, if you want your relationship to grow, it comes down to maybe one solution. Work on yourself. I know. It's a bullet. If you can't change your feelings or your behaviors, then maybe you have to let it go. In no way should you overthink or overstress yourself. I've done it. It's not good on your body. At some point, you know, your body starts showing signs of not agreeing with your decisions. So if it doesn't feel good, it may not be. And if it is, not all of that is your fault. But we do need to take responsibility for what is. And this doesn't just have to be with a partner. It could be with your parents, friends, close relatives, really any social relationships with whomever you've created any type of bond with that may hold value to you or in your life. So if you're waiting for someone else to come and get you out of a situation that you are in, then you may be approaching it the wrong way. For example, here we go again, right? Waiting for someone to hand you a job opportunity usually means that you don't really want a job, or you don't want that better job if you already have one. If you have a dream, but you're waiting on finding someone else to work with, you're not going to achieve anything. This happens because deep down inside, we don't trust ourselves enough to pull off our own plans or to manifest our own visions. And since our attitudes and our interpretations lead to actions, which is medically referred to as behaviors, which then shape the course of your life, the practice of filling your mind with beautiful thoughts will help you to grow consistently and more beautiful within every day. So try surrounding yourself with positivity. Speak positive words and affirmations to yourself. Communicate with your partner. Communicate with yourself. Do the work internally, and you will start feeling better. Even if it's just a little bit. Hang on to that little bit. Because in a certain moment of the day, that little bit, and a reminder or remembering that little bit, that moment that you had, can take you such a long way. It can be that seed of encouragement that you need to make that next step, to take that next leap, to be brave and stand in your feelings and to challenge your feelings, to balance yourself so that you can be the best wife or the best partner or the best mother or the best you. Because we can only control ourselves, our thoughts, and our behaviors, and we cannot control anyone else's. So please remember that. I wanted to come on here and share that with you. This podcast is a little bit shorter than usual, but it was a raw moment that I conquered in a way shorter amount of time than I probably would have 6 months ago, and I'm very impressed with myself. I'm very proud of myself. And saying it out loud and hearing it out loud from me to me sounds really good. So don't forget to give yourselves credit for your small wins. If you got up and took a shower when you could have been laying in the bed, caved into another day of sorrow and depression and not understanding why the world is still functioning, you got up and took a shower. Good job. Pat yourself on the back. You just grew your spirit. You just grew your mind. You told your mind, no, we're going to fight this. We're going to get up. We're not going to quit. This will not defeat me. Even if it's one thing, you did that. Give yourself the credit. We need to have compassion for ourselves. I'm going to continue to remind myself of that as in my night, I am tired and it's been such a blessing to share that with you guys and to be vulnerable with you guys. And I hope this touches someone's heart and their soul. And if it does, then I'm already successful, and bless your hearts and your journeys. Take care.